If you've ever said to yourself, I swear I am barely eating, but the scale isn't moving, you're not imagining things. I hear this from women over 40 all the time. Most of them are actually making the same calorie mistake without even realizing. Most women think it's their hormones or metabolism, or maybe their body is just not responding the way it used to. As a midlife coach, I can tell you something surprising. A lot of women who feel stuck with weight loss after 40 are actually not eating enough. That might sound completely backwards, but once you understand why this happened, everything starts to make a whole lot more sense. This is one of the most frustrating experiences that women run into in midlife. You start eating healthier, you cut calories, maybe you start exercising more, and yet somehow the scale just refuses to move, or worse, you start feeling tired, inflamed, bloated, and stuck in some type of weird plateau where nothing is working anymore. That's when a lot of women start thinking, well, maybe my metabolism is just broken. What's usually broken is the strategy that we've been taught to use. And midlife bodies, our physiology simply doesn't respond to that strategy anymore. I've been coaching for over 20 years, but today I exclusively work with women in midlife. These are women between the ages of 45 and 60. Women navigating perimenopause, menopause, hormonal shifts, body composition changes, and that incredibly frustrating feeling of nothing works anymore. I've coached hundreds of women through fat loss and body composition in this stage of life. But I've also lived it myself. In 2020, during, that time, I had my third child as a midlife mom. And I had about 50 to 60 pounds that I needed to lose. This was above and beyond my normal 30 that I would gain with pregnancies. Even with my experience in nutrition and training, I had to face the same reality that many women do. Our bodies are not the same as when we were 25. When we hit 40, it's a whole different ball game. The strategies have to change. And when they do, that is when your body starts responding again. Let me give you an example from a recent client. She came in incredibly frustrated. She told me, I'm barely eating anything and my weight won't budge. This woman had actually gone and done a resting metabolic rate test. This is a test that measures roughly how many calories your body burns at rest. Her metabolism came back 15% lower than where it should be from a standard. And of course, this scares her and she wants to lose weight. So what does she do when she comes into my program and coaching? She wants to cut calories even more, which is exactly what most women think they need to do. Here's what got interesting. When we looked at her food logs, she was already eating extremely low calories and exercising and feeling exhausted. The last thing she wanted to hear from me was this: we need to increase your calories. And I can tell you, she looked through that camera at me like, are you insane? The fear kicked in immediately. If I eat more, I'm gonna gain weight. When the body has been underfueled for a long period of time, sometimes the first step towards fat loss is rebuilding your metabolism before we can even try to lose weight. And that very idea is uncomfortable, understandably, for a lot of women, but it often is the missing piece. Let's start with a surface level issue. Most women over 40 start weight loss the same way they always have: cutting calories, eat less, exercise more. In the short term, this can maybe work, but eventually the body adapts, especially in midlife. And once your body adapts, that strategy stops producing results. So women respond the only way they know how. They cut calories even more, which pushes the body deeper into an energy deficit. And this is where the plateau starts showing up. Calories alone are not the whole story. There's a second layer happening underneath this, and this is the part many women completely overlook. After 40, we naturally begin starting to lose muscle mass, and muscle is incredibly important for metabolism. Muscle tissue is metabolically active. It helps your body burn energy more efficiently. When women diet aggressively, especially with low protein and without strength training, they often lose muscle. And when muscle goes down, your metabolism slows down. What looks like a slow metabolism problem is often actually a muscle signaling problem. Your body is trying to conserve energy, because from its perspective, resources are scarce. And this brings us to the deeper issue, because even women who are out there eating healthy and exercising can still get stuck here. And the next piece is where things really start to shift. Your body is constantly asking 3 questions. Am I fueled? Am I safe? Am I strong? When calories stay low for very long periods, the body becomes protective. It lowers your metabolic output. It becomes more conservative energy, and fat loss simply slows down. This is not your body sabotaging you. It's simply your body trying to protect you. And I see this pattern all the time with women who've spent years dieting, especially chronic dieters or women who have been in and out of low-calorie plans for decades. But there's even a newer trend making this worse for some women. And this is something we need to talk about honestly. Let me say this clearly. GLP-1 medications can absolutely be helpful tools in weight loss. I am not anti-GLP-1. They have a role in the right situations. But what I'm seeing more often of right now is women who are already eating very low calorie, layering a GLP-1 medication on top of that, which suppresses their appetite even more. Combine that with midlife hormonal shifts, muscle loss, and under eating, and what we end up with sometimes is a metabolic environment that becomes extremely difficult for the body. Energy intake drops real low, muscle mass continues declining, and metabolism becomes even more conservative. This is what I like to call a metabolic traffic jam, because everything is slowing down, which is why the strategy simply has to change. This brings us to the solution. Fat loss in midlife isn't about starving your body. It's about creating the right signals. Those signals usually include enough protein, strength training, adequate calories, and metabolic consistency. Sometimes that means slowly bringing calories back up, rebuilding muscle, supporting metabolic health, and then initiating fat loss from a much stronger foundation. Think of it as this: you are rebuilding the engine before trying to drive your car faster, because once metabolism is functioning well again, fat loss becomes dramatically easier. At this point, the real question becomes, how do you actually know which calorie situation you're in? Because not every woman struggling with weight after 40 has the same problem. After coaching women in midlife for quite a number of years now, I tend to see 4 main patterns. You might recognize one of these in yourself. Type number 1 is the undereater. This is the woman who's eating extremely low calories, sometimes 900, sometimes 1100, sometimes 1200. She's exhausted. Her workouts feel harder than they should. Her weight isn't moving. And the last thing she wants to hear from a coach is, let's increase your calories. But sometimes rebuilding metabolism is actually the first step, not further restriction. Now, the second type is what I call the accurate eater. This is the woman who actually is eating a reasonable amount of calories, but the structure of those calories isn't helping her body. Usually, protein is too low. Muscle mass is declining. Strength training might be missing. So her metabolism is losing one of its biggest drivers, muscle. And the strategy here isn't starving the body more, it's rebuilding muscle. Type number 3 is the unaware eater. This woman genuinely believes that she's eating healthy, and often she does. But calories are creeping in from places that she doesn't even realize. Restaurant meals, cooking oils, snacking, liquid calories, portion sizes that slowly grow over time. The issue here isn't willpower, it's awareness. And then there is type number 4. The chronic dieter, the woman who has spent years, sometimes decades, cycling through all the diets, low calorie plans, low carb plans, detoxes, fasting. And over time, the body just becomes defensive. Energy output drops. Fat loss becomes harder, and the solution here is not usually another diet. It's rebuilding metabolic health first. Here's what I'm curious about. Which one of these sounds the most like you right now? Are you the undereater, the accurate eater who needs more muscle, the unaware eater, or the chronic dieter? Let me know in the comments which one you think you might be, because the solution really depends on which situation you're actually in. This brings us to the next question. How do you actually figure that out? Before we talk about what calories you should be eating, the first step is actually much simpler. You need to understand what you're currently eating right now, because most women genuinely have no clue. I don't say that as criticism, it is just reality. Our brains are just not good at estimating calories. We forget that little snack that we had. We underestimate the portion of food. We underestimate portions. We don't account for oils or sauces. So this is why the first step becomes awareness. What I usually recommend is tracking your food for about 7 days. Not forever, just 1 week. You can use an app like MyFitnessPal. During that week, you're not trying to diet. You're not trying to restrict, you're just observing. What does a normal week of eating actually look like? How much protein are you getting? How many calories are you roughly consuming? Because this is where the surprises happen. Some women discover they're eating far less than they thought. Others discover calories creeping in through stuff they really just don't think about. Like I mentioned before, restaurant meals, cooking oils, snacking, liquid calories. Once you actually see the numbers, everything becomes much easier to adjust. And this leads us to step number 2. Once you understand your baseline, then you can start adjusting calories in a smarter way. And this is where a lot of women make that big mistake. They slash calories as low as possible, but the goal is not to eat as little as possible. The goal is to create a moderate calorie deficit. That means eating just slightly below what your body generally burns while still giving your body enough fuel to function well. For women over 40, that might look like reducing calories by about 300 to 400 calories per day. Not 800, not 1,000, just enough to create steady fat loss without pushing the body into this whole stress mode. Because when we drop those calories too low, the body's gonna adapt, your energy is gonna drop, metabolism becomes conservative, and fat loss slows down. But when you take on a moderate deficit, the body can continue losing fat while still maintaining your muscle and your energy. Once you understand that strategy, the next question becomes, how do you control calories in real life? And this is where a few simple tools can help a lot. I need to add something here before I jump into those tools, because this belief shows up constantly with my 40+ girls. And that is the idea that I should be eating 1,200 calories if I want to lose weight. I hear this number all the time. And when a new client tells me she's eating 1,200 calories, I know what I'm going to hear next. I'm exhausted. My sleep is terrible. My workouts are awful. I can't recover. I'm bloated all the time. I feel like my brain ain't working. 1,200 calories is extremely low for most adult women. Let's put this into perspective for a second. A lot of children eat close to that amount of food in a day. Your body is not a child's body. You are a grown woman. You're managing possibly a career, a household, stress, workouts, and responsibilities. Your brain alone burns a significant amount of energy, every single day. Your muscles need fuel. Your hormones need fuel. Your metabolism needs fuel. And when the body is chronically underfueled, everything's slowing down. That energy is dropping. Your sleep is suffering. Recovery suffers. Your hormones become even more sensitive to stress, and the body starts protecting fat stores because it thinks sources are scarce. This doesn't mean nobody should ever eat 1,200 calories. Rare situations where that happens temporarily. But for women in midlife, that number is simply too low to sustain healthy weight loss. The goal here is to support your metabolism while creating a moderate calorie deficit. That means eating enough protein, enough carbohydrates for energy and brain function, enough fiber for digestion, enough food to support your muscles. And when women start doing that, something really interesting happens. Energy improves, strength improves, recovery improves, and fat loss often becomes much easier, which is why the very first step is understanding your baseline calories. Once you know where you're starting, then you can adjust things in a way that works with your body instead of working against it. And this is where the tools we talked about earlier can help you figure that out. There are 3 tools that I often use with clients, and you don't have to use all of them at once. Just choose something that fits your personality best. The first tool is tracking with an app like MyFitnessPal. Some people really like their numbers. They like precision. They like seeing exactly how the protein, carbs, and fats are adding up. For those people, tracking can work really well. But not everybody wants to track long term, so that brings us to our second tool, the good old hand portion method. Now, this method removes the numbers and just keeps things simple. A palm of protein, a cupped hand of carbohydrates, a thumb of fat, and we measure those vegetables with a fist. This gives you a balanced meal structure without needing an app. The third tool that can be surprisingly helpful is using a food scale for a short period of time, even just 2 weeks, because most people underestimate portion sizes, especially for those calorie-dense foods like peanut butter, oils, rice, pasta, avocado. Measuring these foods for a short period of time can completely reset your awareness. And once you have that awareness, you don't necessarily have to use a scale anymore. But there's one more area where calories often hide, and that's when we eat out. Restaurant meals often contain far more oils and calories than we expect, even in meals that are seemingly helpful. There are little adjustments that you can make that can help. Ask for your sauces on the side. Prioritize protein first. Split those big portion sizes, or take half of it home. Those small little changes can help calorie management feel easier without feeling always restricted. If you've been stuck in a plateau and feeling like nothing is working anymore, I want you to hear this. Once you shift the strategy, the body actually starts responding again. And understanding calories, it's just one part of the puzzle, because there's another part that plays a huge role in fat loss after 40, and that is stress. If you want to understand why belly fat becomes so stubborn in midlife and why stress can completely stall fat loss, even when you're trying to do everything else right, then you need to watch The Truth About Hormonal Belly Fat After 40, What No One Explains. In that video, I break down the different types of stress that impact cortisol and fat storage. And once you understand that piece, a lot of the fat loss puzzle finally starts to make sense. Make sure you watch that video next. Midlife is not the end of metabolic health. When you build muscle, fuel your body properly, and support metabolism instead of starving it, your body becomes stronger, more resilient, and far more capable of changing. And that's the real goal. Not just losing weight, but building a body that supports the life that you want to live. Keep moving, keep glowing, and remember, you're sexy, strong, and unstoppable.